Howdy! How's all my friends in YouTube land today? Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what I usually do. Not that I really have anything regular that I do on this show. Come to think of it. Well, I'm going to be painting on these washers. These are metal washers that you get at the hardware store. You usually use them with a bolt when you're putting something on to kind of hold the bolt up a little bit off the wood or metal or whatever you're putting it to. And I'm going to make jewelry out of these. I've seen some things lately, pictures and stuff of people making necklaces and stuff out of them. And you just take a piece of cord. Knock things off the desk again here. You just take a piece of cord and put the loop through the hole in the washer. And then you pull the ends of it up through. And I'll give you an idea there without me having to chop a piece of the cord off of the spool, but just make a necklace out of it. Now, they've been painting them with various things. Mostly they've been doing, what I've seen is alcohol ink. And I'm not going to do alcohol ink on here. I'm going to use Pebeo. Some of you have seen me mess with the Pebeo stuff before. Let's see if I can figure out how to get that back out of there. I got to be smarter than the cord. Lord have mercy. And the Pebeo paint is the kind that sells, and that's cells. It sells once you put it on and swirl it just a tad, and it takes a while for it to finish moving. It moves for quite a while after you put it down. My camera does not do this stuff justice. I wish I had a better camera for it. But this stuff comes in these little bottles. And it's thick on the bottom. You got to stir the bejeebers out of it. Just stir the dickens out of it. Because it settles to the bottom and you got to pull all that goodness up through the other part of it. And that's what's going to make the cells. So you got to make sure that you got it all stirred up in there real good. Now, I was looking these washers over. And they've got one side that seems to be a little bit smoother, a little bit flatter than the other side, and I'm going to be leaving that flatter side down. That's going to be my bottom of my jewelry. Now, once this is all dried, and it's going to take a day or so for this stuff to dry, but once it's all dried, then I may paint the back of it like with a flat paint, just to finish it off so that it doesn't, show like it's a washer. I mean, I think everybody's probably going to know it's a washer, but just to finish it off, paint it with like some flat black or flat white or something. And I will top this off once it's all good and dry and cured with some dimensional magic, or I've got some ice resin. I'll put something on top of it to seal it real good. But you just take this paint on the stick. You just lay a little bit of it down on your object. I'm going to do these one at a time. I'm going to use different colors on them. Just put a little paint down there. Then I'm going to put a little of this red on top of that. Just swirl it around on there. And I found from past experience that it makes never mind what kind of design you try to make on it, because the paint's going to move. It's going to do what it's going to do. And it's up to you to leave it alone. Just let it do what it's going to do. But what you do once you get the paint down on there is you just take your craft stick or toothpick or whatever you want to use and just kind of poke it around a little bit. Make sure it's to the edges. That's the idea, is get it to the edges. And then that paint's going to sell and it's going to move. It's going to do its thing. Now, I'm going to also move this off of where I spilled the paint off of it, so that when it dries, it doesn't dry with that big old glob of paint stuck up there on it. There we go. You can already see it's starting to move, getting whiter here around the center, doing its thing. Now, let's see, I think I want to come in on this one with some purple. It's always interesting to watch this paint. I'm fascinated with it. This is the Pebeo Prisme Fantasy paint. They also make one that is called Moon. I have not tried the Moon, but from what I've heard, people aren't real tickled with it. So I said, well, I'll just stay away from that one then. And use this Fantasy that everybody seems to like so good, and I'm happy with it. We put some purple and some black, and we'll put a little gold on there. And then we'll take our stick. I've wiped this off so we're not mixing colors from the other one on it. Make sure we push it all the way out to the edge, into the center edge. Just poke at it a little bit. Let's see if I can move it off of there from where I've got the paint running down in the middle of it. I mean, even if we end up, if it dries to the paper towel, ends up with a little paper towel stuck to the back, little sandpaper will take that right off of there, and then we can paint the back of it. Let's see, I got some green here, so I'll come in on this one with a little green. Just drizzle that on there. And you see how thick this stuff is. I mean, Lord have mercy. And I'll come in with a little white on top of that green. And then I think I'll do some black on top of that. Now, before I mess with that one anymore, I'm not real happy with this pooling in the middle of that, so I'm going to move it again. I don't want no big glob of paint that's going to peel when I try to move it off of there after it's dry. Peel all my pretty work off. And I'm just going to tap that out to the edges. Make sure we got this thing covered. And the paint's going to move and do what it's going to do. Okay. Now I got one more here to paint. Let's go with some black. So you can see over here on this red one that we did earlier, maybe this down here. Hey, it's already starting to sell. I'll get this camera down a little bit lower for you here in a minute so that you might be able to see it. It's difficult with this camera. It doesn't want to hone in on these little tiny details. So you got a little black on there. Then I'm going to come in with some gold. And some white. All right, and then I'll take my stick and just poke it to the edges. But we can't have them holes all filled up in the center because that's where our little rope is going to go. So I'll move that off over there, get it off of that puddle. Whee! Flinging my stick. All right. Now, it's going to take a while for these to dry. Let's see if we can't get this down where you can see that one. I wish it would focus a little better. Kind of make out where the cells and stuff are on that. Put the camera back up here to the tripod thing. Really doesn't want to focus real good in on that. This one over here, this purple one, it's starting to cell too. You can see some of the little cells swarming on it. And again, unfortunately, with this camera, it does not want to hone in on the beauty of it. But there it is. And like I say, it's going to take a while for it to dry. They say 3 days is what they say on this. And I mean, it is really, really thick paint, and I can understand that it's going to take quite a while for it to dry. So there is the washer jewelry that I have started. And I'll be doing more episodes on this as I go to show you the future endeavors that I do with this to finish it off and really make it pretty. So with all that being said, give it a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing here. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to enjoy crafting and learn to be crafty. And if you haven't subscribed to me, please do. I'd love to have you as a subscriber on the channel. If you'd like to visit my Etsy store and see the things that I have on Etsy, the URL is in the description of the video so that you can go and check that out. I have been asked here recent about donations during my live chat on Monday nights. There's super chat on the channel. If you would like to give a donation, it's not required. If you would rather go through PayPal, I have a PayPal button on my banner on the channel page, right in the lower right-hand corner of the channel page. There's 2 links there. One's for the Etsy store and one's for PayPal. So if you feel so inclined, you can donate to me that way. And with all that being said, I guess there's just one thing left to say, and that's Brenda's Crafty. Be like Brenda.